The feedback I receive the most from musicians being actively involved in experimenting with the whole beat metronome practice is something like, well, you know, it works often, but then here and there it feels too slow, or it seems not to work for slow movements, I believe, or yeah, I kind of think a middle ground would be best. Things like that. I assume many of you will recognize these thoughts, right? All questions like this receive one single answer from me, which is, you haven't really tried. You in fact haven't done any real practical research. See, the point is that whenever you want to see for yourself how the WBMP in real life works, which in itself is a wonderful thing, you have to be all in on the option you take. You want to try out music in half or single beat? Just play and proceed consequently according to the results. You want to see what the music sounds like in whole beat? Just sit down and work on the piece in the given tempo. But one thing you should never do is to decide what works or not during the practical test you set up for yourself. Imagine a team of doctors wanting to test the impact of long-distance running on the human heart. And imagine they want to test a group of people running at both freezing and at extremely hot temperatures. So they would select a group of people based on some criteria like how fit they are. They even would have to set the parameters for how well they are trained as a runner, measure their fitness before the tests, and once the group is ready, they would be asked to run the given distance, after which they will undergo another series of tests. And by comparing the test results before and after the run, and between the cold and warm run as well, the researchers will see patterns that give information for interpretation. But none of these scientists would be following the runners closely by bike and constantly hitting them with questions about their experiences while running, or what they feel different running now compared to when it was cold, how their heart seems to respond, how breathing is different, or whatever. They wouldn't ask, since that would prevent the participants from going all in on the run. The outcome would be influenced so much by this constant interaction during the test that the results would turn out to be useless. No, of course, the doctors would ask the people to go in all the way, enjoying the run as they normally do, and on top of that, to try to forget they are running for a test. So, now back to our tempo research. When you sit down at the piano or the instrument you play, and try the WBMP out, you have to feel like the runner who is going to enjoy the run. But oftentimes, and I know I safely can speak for all of us since I have been there too, oftentimes we sit down to play and start asking questions right from the start. All kinds of questions come up, whether this really works, whether we do not feel the tempo as too slow, would this be half beat after all or not, and so on. Very much like that scientific team would ask their test runner constantly how he feels. But what that does, it does prevent you from going all in. It totally rips you from the possibility of even having a chance to find the musical truths in those pieces that seem to you problematic in WBMP. And if you think about this a little deeper, you will realize suddenly that when trying that music, you not only still doubt the overall validity of the WBMP, but you take the half or single beat metronome practice still as a default position. WBMP needs to prove itself every time again during your playing, and in spite of this default bias of which we are almost never aware of, the results are oftentimes so convincing, which on its own is remarkable. But in those cases where you as a musician in fact faces a world that you might not yet understand completely, or not right away from the first note, the WBMP does not get a fair chance. Since deep down, for many of us, the half-beat practice still is somewhere on the background as a valid option of choice. You start to doubt again. And by doing so, you rip yourself completely from the possibility of ever finding the musical truth of that piece you're playing when performed according to the WBMP. That default half or single beat position, be it conscious or unconscious, combined with the fact that you are not running the test completely free, as the runners did, will keep you doubting forever. Again, I know what I'm talking about. I've been there, and I've been there for a really long time. What you have to do, in case you are really serious about finding out the musical truth, and what I only did after being almost a decade in that gray zone, so I'm really gonna save you time here, is being aware of that default position. That default position is important. It even is the determining factor for success or failure. In other words, you have to choose what perspective you take going into the experiment. It is either cold or hot. Are you gonna play that Czerny etude with the perspective of half beat? Then don't put the score aside before you made up your mind on the question if it's playable or not. Be honest with yourself. When your conclusion is yes, prove it to yourself at least by making a recording. And when the conclusion is no, accept the conclusions you draw and don't skip them. How often you read people here on this channel write that Czerny is possible just when played 20% slower. This conclusion, which is not a conclusion at all, seems to be valid to many exactly because of the default position of half beat that is constantly ruling on the background of our mind. So again, be serious in the results you experience. Write them down and search for another similar piece that confirms that conclusion or perhaps adds another layer to it. If after tried enough pieces, again from the perspective that you should be able to play those etudes, your conclusion remains the same, keep that on your page of results and stick to it. Don't skip the next day to another piece that does seem to work in half beat, since why even having bothered to do these experiments with etudes anyway? But the other side is true as well, and perhaps even more, since I know most of you are open for the idea of WBMP but don't know always which way to go. Sit down and play that adagio you have troubles with, but play it. Not once, but for weeks, with the solid conviction WBMP is true also for that adagio. Do not doubt when you play and feel the music as too slow. Just fix the things you feel musically to be broken. Make that adagio work in the given tempo in WBMP. Run that trajectory. Don't ask questions to the essence of the test. Don't ask questions while playing if it wouldn't sound better at cold temperature. Just run, just play, just enjoy. Fix it, make it work. And I'm telling you, in some cases for sure, some adagios will make you feel the mountain is high. The journey is long. You will realize that in some of those adagios, an enormous inner power is required to lift the piece from the ground. You will understand only then why Mozart complained that during one of the competitions, I believe the one with Vogler, his competitor was given the easy pieces, the fast ones. And he had to play the adagios. But you will also see the musical paradise, perhaps still only at the horizon, not within reach of hands, but in many cases a view, be it a distant view, you never thought possible. You will start seeing and feeling things that were totally unknown to you. It will only happen. I cannot underline this enough when going all in. When accepting the WBMP, even virtually for a while, as a solid, proven historical metronome practice. You will see details in notation you will never have seen, as I did suddenly end of 2016 in that unbelievable Mozart adagio from his D major sonata. Details that fitted so well in the tempo given by Moschner's in WBMP. It was a turning point in my musical life, and it is a great adagio for you perhaps to start your journey as well. You will soon see, as I did in the weeks following that moment of enlightenment, so many, yes, technical problems in the slow movements as well. Runs, trills, ornaments, articulations and what have you, that are simply not playable in the given speed in half or single beat. And once you arrive there, it is all up to you what to do with the test results. I'm pretty convinced those test results will outweigh massively some Alcon or smart timings, for which there is an easy solution fitting in the WBMP, by the way. The music will tell you that WBMP is the only direction in which at the minimum the majority of those historical tempi fit and make sense. And again, once you are there, you can decide to switch your default position overall to WBMP. And then the magic really starts to happen. You will go back not only to music, but to written sources, and you suddenly will not understand why source A, B or C felt to be solid proof for half beat when it now just screams whole beat proof to you. Some say that's dogmatic. But you can say as easy as that, it is for the love of Beethoven's music, or Chopin's, or Schumann's, or name it. When Beethoven would knock on your front door today, what would you have to say? That is an open question we all have to answer for ourselves, but searching for the paradise he created is far from dogmatic. It feels like it is what musicians need to do, by default. So that was it for today. Like this video and share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the bell as well so YouTube can notify you for future updates, and become part of this musical movement by becoming an Authentic Sound Insider at patreon.com. You'll find a strong community there, my personal practicing sessions, previews of the YouTube videos and insight updates as well. Link below and in the description box. Thanks for watching and see you soon again.